Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we actually have to talk about Australia because Australia is showing us here in the United States why Section 230 is protecting our free speech. They don't have it. Looks like they really need it. Now, to all my friends and family in Australia, obviously, we love you guys. Australia is great. We just have a bit of a problem with your government right now, and here's what's going on. This is coming from Reuters and multiple sources, but I think Reuters had the best write-up on this. Now, here's what it is. Recently, Australia's highest court ruled that online publishers can be held liable for defamation in public comment sections, and the big one, Facebook, is actually refusing to help disable comment sections in Australia. Now, the ruling came under a lot of fire with defamation lawyers accusing Australia of not keeping up with technological change and noting the contrast with the United States and Britain, where laws largely protect publishers from any fallout from their comment sections posted online. CNN gets into the mix. That's right, CNN, the international news organization, said that they are now preventing Australians from accessing its Facebook page because of this particular ruling. Basically, they don't want to be held liable for the user's comments, given that they would be liable under Australian law, thanks to the highest court ruling that way. Now, CNN's main Facebook page showed an error message when accessing it from Australia this past Wednesday. CNN said Facebook declined a request to help it and other publishers disable public comments in the country following the ruling, which was made during an ongoing defamation suit. Now, this move makes CNN, which is owned by AT&T, the first major news organization to pull its Facebook presence from Australia since this ruling. And for Australian media companies, the ruling actually adds a layer of complexity to the relationship with the Facebooks of the world, because many of them are now starting to benefit from the new law that forces essentially Facebook to pay essentially for links to their content. And so if the public can go ahead and start saying anything that would be considered defamation, no longer does Facebook essentially is not held liable. And that's something that we've had here, and it's something that I've talked about quite a bit with Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. Now, the entire Communications Decency Act of 1996, if you didn't know, was actually thrown out in court, but the one section that remained and stands on its own and has stood court challenges over the literal decades is Section 230, which basically says that platforms of the world, back then it was America Online or AOL, now it's Facebook, Twitter, etc., that essentially, no matter what god-awful thing you post, horrible or not, defaming whoever you're talking about, it's not Facebook's fault. You're the jerk. You're the one that is basically, going to end up with a defamation lawsuit. But Facebook is absolved from that because they can't control it. And with 3 billion plus users, as much as I'm not a fan of Facebook, and if you watch me, listen to me, or follow me, you know I have been going after Facebook, especially the last couple of weeks, thanks to the Wall Street Journal. I'm no fan of them. But in this case, this is essentially what is protecting our First Amendment right here in the United States, and that is the right to free expression. That has moved online, and Section 230 essentially does that for us. And Australia is showing when you don't have something like a Section 230 ingrained into essentially the constitutional fabric of your country at this point, and it is due to Supreme Court rulings over Section 230, we see what happens. And so Facebook's not going to take the chance, and CNN basically is not going to take the chance to say, well, it's my Facebook page, so maybe Facebook's not going to get hit. But if somebody starts defaming somebody or something maliciously in the comment section of a CNN article or on the CNN page, CNN is now liable, and why would they want to take that risk? That's the whole point of this. And so when we saw back in the late 2000s, around the election, just after the election, smaller social media sites like Parler that cater to, at this point, a specific political demographic. That's not how Parler was actually set up. I had an account on their platform for quite some time, prior to that major political shift. And because I do that for every new platform that comes out, you never know what's going to be the next big thing, right? And so when Parler came out during that period and basically said, we need to kill Section 230, this is exactly why they shouldn't. Because of the content that people are posting, now they're being held liable. Meaning, if you defame me and I sue you and we are both on Parler or Facebook in Australia or something like that, now Facebook or Parler or whoever gets dragged into court. We need Section 230 in our lives. Australia, you need your own. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Section 230 is perfect. I've actually done videos. I've talked about this in article form, in my writing and all of that there are some hindrances to state law enforcement when they're looking at things like trafficking cases, thanks to Section 230. So it's not perfect, but what it's doing right now is essentially enshrining our right to be good, bad, or apparently ugly on social media and not drag the social media companies into it, which means we still continue to have that free platform to essentially be nice or jerks. And so there it is. So Australia, you need one. Thank you for the lesson. I really hope you guys get it straightened out, and good on you. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter. And Nick, feel free to follow me at here, Facebook and Twitter. I was going to make a joke, etc. Also follow me on YouTube. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.